Hey guys, Ash here, Rachel Legends. Welcome to the video. Send us some love, some positive vibes your way, especially if you need them out there today. Today we have a video on a few rare champions, specifically a few rare champions that I have leaned on heavily in the end game on my account. There's a whole host of really viable rares. I recently did a rare video, all the rares I would take to level 60. We touched on a lot of these champions, but not all of them, because these are again specific to the end game. So even if you're not an end game player, I guarantee you can and will find a use for these champions at some point. So at the very least, shove them in your vault and then whip them back out when you need them later on in the game. This is an idea that I thought of from you guys in the comments. I really appreciate all the video ideas. Honestly, coming up with 365 or 300, let's say 50 videos a year on Raid Shadow Legends, honestly, it's not that difficult. There's a lot to do in this game, but it can help me from time to time. So thank you guys. Shout outs to Marco. Marco, now do a rares as a late game player should build for secret rooms in Curse City. We have B. Parker. B. Parker says, Ash, so I know I'm not alone, but my vault is a mess with rares because I'm not sure which to use, which ones are actually worth building. Can you do an updated video? Absolutely I can. Here it is. Endgame rares. I want to start with the AoE A1 stunners, the #1 stunners, in the words of Nelly. Honestly, I love these champions. I'm going to give you my 4 favorite rares for AoEs on the A1. Why are we talking about stun? Because they're perfect in a stun set. Just make sure if you're working on a secret room or in Cintranos, make sure if you're going to put a stun set on these champions, especially if you're not using them in other areas of the game, make sure you go ahead and pick up that Fearsome Presence. Get it to my collection. Make sure you pick up that Fearsome Presence Mastery, right? Take that stun from an 18 to a 23% chance. And remember that debuffs from any artifact set, specifically stun in this case, do not require accuracy, which is really, really nice. A nice side note. All right, so who are these champions? The AoE A1s. These are the wave clearers, right? Not the wave clearers, but the wave controllers. Thus clears, right? These are secret room strategies, Cintrano strategies. So my faves, in no particular order, are gonna be maybe in a particular order. I think Soulbound, she's just one of my faves, man. She's just so good. The AoE on the A1. The cool thing is with the extra 25% chance to crit on all of her abilities, you can build her with 75% crit rate. You get nothing to worry about. It's all abilities. There's nothing more lame in this game than having a champion that only one of their abilities has an extra crit chance, or a champion that randomly has one skill that will always critical hit when they're a nuker and you have to build them with crit rate anyway. Anyway, Soulbound doesn't have that issue. She has the AoE on the A1. She has a hard-hitting A2 ability, 75% ignore defense, and then she has full turn meter manipulation, or depletion, excuse me, on her A3 ability. So she brings a lot of control in that AoE on the A1. Some decent damage too, but I tend to try to focus on control when building her. Probably the GOAT of all rares. I remember when I started playing this game, I was like, I forgot who I was talking to. I'm like, are there any rares in this stupid game worth maxing out? And the response was, well, Bellower is absolutely worth maxing out. This is back in 2019. This dude's still worth maxing out. Specifically, I mentioned it before, but I have to mention it again. This blessing was made for Bellower. I'm lucky enough to have a fully awakened Bellower. Nature's Bounty will convert the weak version of a debuff to the big version of a debuff. Now, Bellower, not only does he have an AoE on his A1, he has an AoE on his A2 and his A3 as well. It's all AoEs all the time with Bellower. He's Void Affinity. You don't have to worry about weak hits. Great in a stun set, great for damage, great for control, great for debuffs. He's just one of the best rares out there in the game still to this day. He has a cool block active skills, 30% land rate, really cool, really handy. You kind of parlay that with a stun chance in the stun set on the A1. Beautiful, beautiful control. And then he's got the debuffs, decrease speed, decrease attack, and decrease defense. 3 of the most essential debuffs in the game. With the Nature's Bounty, we can upgrade them to the big version. So yeah, love him too. Also, I happen to really love Abyssal, right? Another AoE on the A1. AoE with block buffs at a 30% land rate, 35 with the sniper. He also brings a heal, and he brings an increased defense, increased attack on all allies. It's the weak version, but a lot of restrictive content. It's the only version that you can get your hands on, especially rare only content. So Abyssal's not bad. And then I would say in last place, but certainly worth mentioning, is going to be Banshee. I went back to Demon Spawn again. Good old Banshee is an old school rare who has an AoE on her A1 with decreased defense. Again, Nature's Bounty to upgrade that to the big version. And an AoE on her A2 as well. I don't use her A3 at all, Death Ray. I just use the AoE, 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 AoE. Removing a random buff is not bad as well, notably on a 2-turn cooldown. So honestly, not a bad little champion there, one to know about. So those are my 4 favorite AoEs on A1 rares. Now let's get into the more, it's a combination, but most of these are niche rares, not the typical rares that you hear me talk about, you know, the apothecaries and the cold hearts. Sure, they're all good, but I wanted to focus on not the same old, right? If you're curious about who I think is good in progression in this game, the cold hearts, the apothecaries, the reliquary tenders, and so on, you can check out the longer video that I did on every rare that I think is worth taking, excuse me, to 6 stars. Bannerlord, Rizkarm. Make sure I had that right there. Rizkarm is a defense base, so he's rather tanky for a rare champion. This dude is old school, but man, he can be useful in Faction Wars hard mode. He doesn't have a bad kit at all. Again, a rare being HP or defense base is an inherently good thing because they're so squishy to begin with. It can be a chore just to keep him alive. He has a stun at a 50% land rate on his A1, which is notable. We'll get to why in a moment. We look at his A3. His tower above is an AoE, a shield on himself, 20% of his max HP, so some survivability on an AoE on a 3-turn cooldown. Not crazy damage here, but some sustainability at the very least. And then this is what I like about this dude. There's a bunch of these, obviously stun for Faction Wars hard is a thing, right? But place a counterattack on a target ally. So you get to choose who you want to put that on. He also brings the increased defense on all allies, which can be handy. It is the weak version on a 4-turn cooldown, so let's not go too far here. The counterattack on a target ally, there's a really annoying stage of kill, I think, 5 enemies in Faction Wars hard with counterattack or ally attack. It can be difficult, especially in Bannerlords, if you don't have like a Marichka. So he has it, and you can just place it on your biggest DPS, your biggest damage dealer, right? Provided they're going to be attacked with an AoE. It's a way to kind of cheese through those counterattack ally attacks. To be fair, he's not the best champion on the list, but I think it's notable with that counterattack and with a little bit of survivability that he brings to the table as well. You can put him in a stun set to have the AoE stun on the A2 and have the chance 30% of a stun on the A1. Still put Fearsome Presence, he'll have the 23% chance from a stun set, and he'll have another 25% chance, or 35 when booked, on his A1 ability. Next on the list is one that I rode hard in one specific stage, but I would not have been able to clear it without her, and it's Pathfinder Kate. Pathfinder Kate. She was the reason I'll be able to clear Faction Wars hard mode. Why? Because she's the only damn Sylvan Watcher that has a increase the cooldown of a random skill on each target by 2 turns. So increase cooldown of a random skill by 2 turns at a 50% land rate on an AoE. It's not the best because of the land rate, but this is an AoE rare that increases skill cooldowns. The increased skill cooldown ability in Faction Wars hard mode would be impossible, at least for me, without her, right? So, man, she's a rare that I already had built. I did a guide on her in my other Champions Guide channel, and boy, was I happy that I had her. She was my MVP. She also has a perfect veil on this champion whenever she kills an enemy, and that's it. Her only active ability is the A2, so you could even throw it in a reflex set if you wanted to get back to this sooner and kind of cheese your way through again. It's not cheese, I guess it is what it is, right? Those specific stages. She can also help you in the kind of the mid game as well in restrictive content. She's not an awful champion. She's very basic, but she's effective, right? All right, I want to give you 2. I felt like I had to include these 2 champions on the list, right? And they're the 2 5-star specialists, but only in one area of the game. The cool thing is they're both campaign farmable, right? So I felt like, again, I had to include them because they're so unique. They're both lizardmen, again, not Skinwalker's Ash, but Muckstalker, right? Muckstalker, I'll be super quick with it. People get excited about a Chronicler Adolin or whatever with her sleep. Muckstalker has a sleep for 2 turns on a 2-turn cooldown. He's a 5-star Sand Devil sleep candidate. He's used all the way to to the final stage, level 25 of Sand Devil, and he's a little cheat code for Sand Devil, right? It's like the perma sleep option on his A2. 2-turn cooldown, 2-turn sleep. That's it. Right? Easy, easy, easy. The other one, of course, is Metal Shaper. Metal Shaper is a Scarab King cheat code. You want that shield up all the time. Kind of the same type of thing that we talked about with Muckstalker, and that is a shield on all allies for 2 turns on a 2-turn cooldown. So these are two champions that, again, can help you tremendously clearing these end game bosses that can be challenging in some circumstances. I want to get a little niche here again with a barbarian, I believe. Yes, Bloodbraid. I actually maxed her out because of a specific Fire Knight in Soulcross. Some of you guys probably know who I'm talking about or which stage I'm talking about in Centranos. Is it on this rotation? I think it's this Fire Knight right here. This Fire Knight right here can be incredibly challenging. It's an area where I know a lot of my clan mates, excuse me, previously got stuck on, right? Tough. So Bloodbraid, for me, was the key. Not only does she have a triple hitter on her A2 ability with a chance of an extra turn, the downside is only a single target on the A1, but she has a triple hitter, which is nice, with the extra turn, which is really nice, but she has 100% heal reduction. Between the triple hitter and the heal reduction, I couldn't have cleared that Fire Knight without her. So Bloodbraid for Fire Knight, specifically Fire Knight in restrictive content in Centranos. Again, kind of a niche pick, but she was huge for me, 100% heal reduction there. All right, this next one is going to help you out in a bunch of situations, right? If you don't have Siphi the Lost Bride. You ever notice about Undead Horde, guys? There's Siphi for a Reviver. Unless I'm missing somebody, there's nobody else. How about Epics? Every faction in the game, I want to say, has an epic reviver, except for Undead Hordes. Am I making that up? Is that a thing? It's a thing. It's pretty crazy, right? They also have, I mean, yeah, if you have Theodosia, congratulations, you got a mythical, right? But there's, besides Siphi, there's a massive lack of revivers. The cool thing is there's one of the best, most underrated revivers in the game. I think I'm going to make a whole video about Grinner. TLDR, he's a reviver. He's got a buff removal, and he's one of the fastest rares in the game at 110 speed. Nobody talks about Grinner. He's a reviver option if you don't have Siphi. It can help you out anywhere in the end game, especially in Faction Wars for Undead Horde. Grinner is somebody that nobody should sleep on. Another kind of niche pick coming at you guys next is going to be a Dark Elf. I'll tell you what, this stage was really challenging, and it was, again, kind of like with the Pathfinder Kate, excuse me. It's the cooldown stage, right? Again, when you look at Dark Elves, who are we going to look to? I mean, I have a bunch of these champions. Who are we going to look to increase cooldowns on that Faction War stage? I went through the filter to see who I had available, and you can see I have most of the champions, and it's like Harvester. I'm like, Harvester? But yeah, she's not a good champion. So again, very niche here. This is why it's kind of endgame oriented, this video. But man, this Temporal Burst, 100% chance to increase the cooldown of one of the target skills by 2 turns at random. Ooh, it's hard to get to. It's a 4-turn cooldown. It's not a good ability. The rest of her kit isn't good either. A block buffs on a 3-turn cooldown, a weaken on on her A1, a weak version of weaken. I mean, come on. For a Void champion, make her a little bit better, but this one ability, the increased cooldown, you ought to know about her, and even if you're not in Faction Wars, even if you're not struggling on Faction Wars hard, know about her, stick her in your vault, right? I want to talk about 2 others before I let you guys go. I could probably go on forever and ever. I don't know what it is, why it is, but I really love talking about rare champions. Something about it. Gnarlhorn, right? Gnarlhorn is one of the more capable and competent tanks for Phantom Shogun's Grove because of, well, his kit's beautiful, first of all. He's the best rare provoker in the game, certainly AoE, bar none. An AoE provoke, it's not predicated on landing a critical hit, it's placing the provoke. He brings an increased defense on himself, sure, but then he also has an unkillable for 2 turns out of 3 on his A3 ability. So the combo of that survivability with the provoke and the ram. This is why he's so good in Phantom Shogun Grove. His damage increase, whatever. It cannot be strong, critical, or a weak hit on his ram A1. Thus, he's one of the most effective tanks for Phantom Shogun's Grove. He'll be your tank, he'll be hit, he'll be unkillable. Beautiful little combo there, and he's a good champion to have for wave content in general. Gnarlhorn is definitely a champion that everybody should keep at least a copy of, if not go out and max. He's a really, really good champion. And then the last champion, excuse me, speaking of provokers, Obviously, when you think about rares in the end game, you're thinking about control or niche utility, as we've spoken about with most of these champions. We also think of Faction Wars Hard now, Centranos, Secret Rooms. Everything that I've said about Centranos, for the most part, can be applied to Secret Rooms in terms of wave content. But Longsword Turox, man, I really like this dude. AoE increased defense. He's defense-based. He can deal some damage. 65% provoke on a 3-turn cooldown. Really solid. You can pick up Fearsome and bring it to a 70% on masteries. Only one active skill, only one active ability, but the cool thing is he has a kind of a fail-safe mechanic, right? A block damage for 1 turn. If incoming damage exceeds 20% of this champion's max HP, that's on a 4-turn cooldown when booked, but it's a nice survivability mechanism built into his kit. He counterattacks whenever he's hit by an enemy under a provoke, thus landing a bunch of leeches, helping to heal your team as well. So that's Longsword. I'm going to end it there, I think. But man, I'm tempted to go into all my favorite Sylvan Watchers, right? I really love Ingid Twist Staff, excuse me. I love Tree Shield Knot. I like Bowsmith Flannan, right? There's a lot of really good Sylvan Watchers, which is great. I even kind of like this new Glen Sage Cithril, but I just don't know. The reason I'm not going on and on this video is because those ones, I think they're solid, even Branch Arm, Lacer, right? I think they're all solid, but it's not like they're going to single-handedly excel you or help you through a specific piece of content in the end game, but certainly they're usable along with a bunch of other rares. So if you want to see a follow-up to today's video, I would love to do another video, talking about end game rares. Until then, thank you for your comments, your video suggestions, and for keeping all the love coming, guys. I appreciate you all. Much love, and as always, take care, guys.